Here we are at the beginning of the 2015 session. Once again, the budget is going to be an issue. What's the status of our budget heading into the next budget cycle?
So the status is the most important thing for people to remember is that we have an 8% increase in the budget. We have $3 billion that the taxpayers have sent us on top of what they sent us in the last biennium. And yet what we see from the governor is his budget calls for a 15% increase in spending, which is wildly beyond what we have the ability to do. Now, we have issues with McCleary. I am confident that we're going to continue to meet those obligations, but to be honest, we may not be able to meet it in their time frame, in the court's time frame. And so I think one of the first things we ought to do is really prioritize what we're doing. And taxes shouldn't even be on the table, candidly. And it's been front and center in the governor's budget, all of the different proposals that he wants to do. He wants a capital gains tax. He wants a carbon tax, which is going to affect, food prices, fuel prices, electricity prices. So again, for what? I mean, I think it's about time that we need to really address, our state spending. And so the last thing you should be doing is talking about increasing taxes.
Wolves are always a hot topic in the legislature, and especially in your district. What wolf legislation are you sponsoring this year?
So I actually have a couple of pieces of legislation. The first one, just to back up, the 7th district is kind of the epicenter of where wolves are coming in. No big surprise. They're coming in from Idaho. They're coming down from British Columbia. But the hard part and what we're seeing is that we're at a saturation level. We have deer, elk, and moose populations that may not sustain that kind of a wolf population. And we've had, a lot of livestock killings and injuries. And so it's really in chaos, frankly. And so what my bill would actually do is to allow for regional delisting for the Fish and Wildlife to say, hey, we have enough wolves in this area, we should move forward with that, and really work with the communities to put the communities first and our wildlife, our local wildlife first. And so I know it's going to be a challenge, but I'm up for the task. I am continuing to work with my colleagues and really folks who don't believe the way I do to continue the conversation. And we're also looking at a potential fish and wildlife study to study the wolf and the ungulate impacts. So stay tuned on that, but it's a #1 priority for me.
Tell us a little bit about your bill to help keep local housing costs down.
So basically what my bill would do would only allow the State Building Code Council to designate 2 climate zones in Washington State, basically west side, east side. And actually, ironically, that's current statute, but what we had happen 2 years ago is the Building Code Council tried to isolate northeastern Washington from the rest of the eastern Washington counties. Now, you think about that and you say, well, why is that a big deal? Well, if you're a small county, you rely on the larger counties for training, for technical expertise and things like that. And if we have a different set of building code standards, then that makes it hard on our local governments and frankly our local builders. So I'm excited. The bill was unanimously passed out of committee. I think it's sitting pretty good for early floor action, and so stay tuned.
Switching gears here, you were recently appointed to a new position within the House Republican Caucus. Tell us what that position is, what it entails, and how it changes some of your daily routine here in Olympia.
Well, in November, as part of our reorganization after our elections, I was elected caucus chair, which I am tremendously honored. It's the #3 position in the House Republican Caucus. And what my duties include is managing all of the things that we discuss in caucus, legislation, strategies, introductions, all of the things that go along with it. So that's been added onto my normal duties as just being a legislator. So what I would say is I will always see constituents no matter what. I will try and make it work, but my duties have definitely expanded to the point where I actually had to drop a committee. But I'm excited still to serve on environment as assistant ranking. I serve on healthcare, and I tell you what, it is just an honor. I want to help our caucus be successful and more importantly, my constituents in the state. So stay tuned. It's been an interesting week and a half long ride already.
You have a new office location, is that correct?
I do. I actually moved from the John L. O'Brien building to the legislative building. I'm on the 4th floor in room 427A. For those who know, I actually love to stay where I'm at. I don't really like a lot of change, but in this case, because of my new legislative duties and being involved in more meetings, folks really suggested that it would be good to be over here. So I'm excited about it. I moved in, encouraging folks to come and see and come visit. And again, phone number stays the same. So it's 360-786-7908, but my office location did change.